people that don't fit in, right? And I think sometimes it can be really easy to say, why would you do that to yourself? When, because again, a beautiful panel, beautiful women that I'm sure at some point you've heard that you were not beautiful or that somebody has tried to make you feel that way. But when we look at like the general population of people, you are all beautiful. There are people who don't fit those standards, who have never had somebody say that to them ever, who have never had the kindness that comes behind being beautiful, who have never had the attention from men that comes from being beautiful. And I think people wanting that for themselves, I think it doesn't justify what they do to themselves, but there is like a level of compassion of people have just, human beings have just not been nice to you because they don't find you attractive.
As women, young women coming up, we get it on both sides. But how funny is it that this actually fits the whole pretty privilege conversation? It kind of brings it full circle because I don't know if you guys remember the incident with, I think it was either Chris Brown or someone, and them saying that, you know, certain women were acceptable in their section versus others not being accepted in their section, and it was based on them being racially ambiguous and
Mhm.
their hair being a certain way, them looking a certain way. That's like, it's literally a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there are artists that do prefer or like natural women, but in the club, like, or in certain spaces within entertainment, that's still not a thing. Like, it's still not, you know, accepted in
Let
mass.
me
I mean, nobody not being made up in Hollywood is not accepted. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now, nobody. They're not even gonna let a black man go in there. Like, unless that's your character, you're not gonna be on TV not lined up or shaped up. Like, come on now, that's TV.
let me just say this. You know, I think that like he did make a point. I think that, you know, that's just the car, those are the cards that we were dealt, you know, because I look at my black and I look at all of this black on here as being so beautiful. They got a tan to get like this. You know, we just wake up and go. You feel me? There's so much about our blackness that is beautiful. I mean, think about our bodies. They pay all this money just to get a body that God gave you
Yes.
free of charge. So
Listen.
it's just maybe the hair, okay, but we got everything else.
Listen, ain't no question that our melanin is magic in my mind. And
Absolutely.
I feel like as a woman that's come up, like, I'm a first generation American, but I grew up Jamaican culture, like heavily influenced by that side of my family. And it's Jamaican is Cuban is West African. But like, and even within that culture, there's like a lot of people that don't like themselves. Like, they bleach, they try to look lighter. Like, it's just really
And
according to,
why?
because it's
Crazy.
societal standard of beauty, and I think it's crazy, and it's a bit a little you know, a little bit of like those issues, those things that we need to unlearn, but it's an actual thing. I mean, it seems like we have like a pretty level-headed panel here where like we can be objective and we can see, like, you know, if you're doing it for yourself versus doing it because you're not accepting yourself or you're trying to hide from yourself, you know, something completely different. But I think what it boils down to is us just dating people who accept us for us through and through, not, you know, with the wig, without the wig, or someone that sees you beyond that, like with the weave, without the weave. Like, I think that's what it pretty much boils down to. Date people that prefer you.
So Shantae, like I heard you ask why, right?
I was
Um,
asking why. It's like because to me, I know to them, obviously it's me condition, but to me, I love all the different, you know, flavors we
I
have.
hear you. I do. I think it's sometimes it's bigger than that, right?
Of course, of
When
course.
you see people who look a certain way, from your perspective, they have life easier.
Hmm.
They're treated more kindly.
Hmm.
They're treated like human beings. I as wild as it can sound, can understand why they would do that to themselves to
Yeah.
get some kindness in this world, right? Like pretty privilege doesn't just exist in privileging the pretty, it also exists in disadvantage. Y'all know what I mean. Disenfranchising. We'll go with that. Well, disenfranchising those that don't fit that beauty norm, right? It's not like those who aren't pretty live in a land that's neutral. There's a cruelty and a lack of humanity that's attributed to the people that don't fit in, right? And I think sometimes it can be really easy to say, why would you do that to yourself? When, because again, a beautiful panel, beautiful women that I'm sure at some point you've heard that you are not beautiful or that somebody has tried to make you feel that way. But when we look at like the general population of people, you are all beautiful. There are people who don't fit those standards, who have never had somebody say that to them ever, who have never had the kindness that comes behind being beautiful, who have never had the attention from men that comes from being beautiful. And I think people wanting that for themselves, I think it doesn't justify what they do to themselves, but there is like a level of compassion of people have just, human beings have just not been nice to you because they don't find you attractive.
Welcome to being a man.
Why do men want women to experience their experience so bad?
Oh
I
no,
don't
I didn't. I definitely do not. That was just an observation.
A lot of guys.
I would never want women to experience.
Well,
what
a
it's
lot of men
man.
do. They'll be like, "Well, men gotta do it, so therefore,
They're-
if
those
we
are- those
gotta
are-
go through it, you gotta go through it. If we
Guess
gotta
what?
take it on the chin, you have to take it on the chin."
Those are adult males.
Yeah. Yeah, those are men that, I mean, and don't get me wrong, right? Because I do feel like there's like a certain level of empathy and compassion that we're supposed to possess for our male counterparts. However, I just don't, what I don't like with a certain set of men in today's world is that resentment toward being a man and a resentment toward women for being women.
Yeah.
Making it seem like women being women is so dangerous to men being men. That's the part that I don't really like or respect. Aside from that, though, I fully believe that we would benefit from being compassionate and empathetic toward one another's struggles, because literally we are all we got, and we both have a certain set of struggles that nobody outside of our community can understand. So if we were a bit more compassionate and empathetic toward one another, I feel like, these conversations would be able to flow differently amongst us.